to beat the pound for pound king, number one. He found a way to beat him, right? And
That's
all
actually
that,
true. I never thought about it that way.
exactly, and all that not performing well is out of the window for now, right? Because now he's the king. He's number one. You're number one. And that's all that matters, right? That's
Yeah,
all
man,
that
let's
matters.
go. Let's go.
Hey guys, this is John Anik from the UFC. You're watching the Fight Week Show. Please subscribe. Not now, but right now. Subscribe to the Fight Week Show. We'll see you guys on the road soon.
Hey, what's happening, people? You are through to the Fight Week Show. Fight with friends, fight with family, fight with subscribers. We have today Mr. Luke Michael. He is the 185 champ at the EFC, the Extreme Fighting Championship, out there in South Africa. How are you doing, champ?
First of all, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm so excited to get this show going, man, and to be part of Fight Week Show.
Bro, this is a real honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm humbled by that. Thank you.
I mean, we've tried to make this schedule happen, but for reasons, time zone reasons, and my reasons, your reasons. The main thing is we're here now. That's the main thing. We are here right now.
Like they say, the third time's a charm.
Exactly that. Yeah. I just wanted to go through your resume and where you train out from and stuff like that. Actually, you know what? Instead of me doing that, why don't you tell our people, our viewers, our listeners, about yourself, something they don't know about you, where you train out of, all of that stuff. Please introduce yourself to our viewers and our listeners.
Yeah, with pleasure, man. So I'm originally from Cape Town, born and bred, but the last 2.5 years, I've been training in Johannesburg. I've been doing my preparations and training camps in Johannesburg with my coach, Attila Bana. He's a Hungarian guy who lives in South Africa now. He comes from more of a wrestling background. So I do my MMA with him, and I also do some extra striking around in Johannesburg. And yeah, it's been a long journey in MMA for me. I'm 27 now. I made my professional debut at about 19, just shy of 20. It's been a tough road. There was lots of ups and downs, but I took the lessons on the chin, and it made me who I am now, and I truly believe the best is yet to come. The best Luke Michael is yet to come. And I just appreciate the journey, and I appreciate being here tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, you are one of EFC's, champion, in the middleweight division, and I wanted to ask you first, before we talk about your championship, your title fight, and how you felt about all of it and stuff like that. What made you get into this crazy sport? What made you want to do this sport for a living, and to be able to provide for yourself and provide for your family? What made you decide to jump into the sport?
Well, I remember I was about 15, 14 years old, and I watched a movie called Never Back Down. I was still in high school back then, and
Michael Jai White.
Obviously, sorry,
Michael Jai White.
Yeah, the one and only. Yes. And I still remember I was watching it with my brother and my cousin, and I was like, Flip, what is this, man? Like, what kind of sport is this? Like, can I actually train this? Like, easiest a gym in Cape Town, where I can learn this style, or these styles of MMA. And I immediately Googled the nearest MMA gym in my area back in Cape Town. And I came across the jiu-jitsu gym, and so I started jiu-jitsu at about 15 years old, and then my main goal was always to get into MMA, but I felt like I wanted to take a few months and just focus on one style in the beginning and get good at it. So I done jiu-jitsu for about a year, competed in jiu-jitsu competitions, and then I came across an MMA coach who trained MMA and competed in MMA. His name was Rico Atin, the South African heavyweight champion at that time, also competed overseas. I met him, and he said, "Now let's give it a go," And I trained hard. I sort of made my game more well-rounded. I learned the other styles of MMA, not just the grappling. And yeah, like they say, the rest is history. I fought amateur, 7 fights in the amateur scene, went undefeated, and then I went to EFC at 19 years old. And like I said earlier, like it's been a tough road, lots of lessons, but it's sort of shaped me into who I am now, and to who I will be in the future.
So nice to hear, and your perspective on getting into MMA. Watching a movie like Never Back Down is one of my favorite movies. I think there's like they got like 3 or 4 sequels of that movie there. That movie is so
it's such a cool movie, man.
Such a cool movie.
I love the fact that in the movie the guy was obviously bullied, and he fought back. He fought back, and there's a although it's just a movie, there's a strong life lesson in that movie. To never back down, to keep fighting, not just in the ring or the cage, but in life as well, because we needed to do so. We have to do so.
And part of that life lesson as well in that movie was the bullying. The guy that got bullied ended up being a bully himself in the movie.
I love it. Yeah,
another life lesson right there.
Yeah. The roles were reversed.
Absolutely, and in life, you can't. It's all about taking one step at a time and shaping yourself to who you really want to be. I'm sure you ended up being sorry for it, but it's a good movie. If you haven't seen Never Back Down, please go and watch it as recommended by Luke, and that's what's made him turn into an MMA fighter today, to the point where he's an EFC middleweight champion. If there's no other motivation to want to go and watch the movie, I think Luke is just giving you one, people. So there you go.
Don't miss out, guys. Don't miss out.
Hopefully, maybe Michael Jawad will give you some money for promoting his movie.
Wow, yeah, that would be pretty cool. Let's hope he comes across this video.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, what does it feel like to call yourself the EFC middleweight champion? Like, I know a lot of champions always say heavy is the head, that wears the crown. Like, what's it like? What's that pressure like? What's it like for you?
Well, firstly, when I achieved the goal, it was a massive step for me and an achievement on my journey. Do I can sit here and be honest today and say that I do believe I should have achieved it earlier in my career, based on just knowing myself, and knowing what I'm capable of. But obviously, certain things happen in life. You make different choices, and like we just said now, it molds us into who we become. But it honestly felt amazing, and actually, with that being said, it made it feel even more worthwhile because of all the hardships I faced in my career leading up to that, And it felt absolutely amazing. Obviously, I'm not happy with my performance with the victory in that fight. I made a lot of mistakes, and I never had the best preparation. No excuses, but I never had the best training camp. But now I'm in a position where I have the opportunity to sort of showcase my best version, and showcase what I can really do, the version which my close training partners and coaches know. I want to bring that version to the cage in December at my next fight, and I want to do it for myself. I want to prove to myself that I can perform at that level again and remain champion. So it feels amazing, and like you just said, now with that comes pressure. The East pressure, as soon as I won the belt, there was pressure, and but I feel like I sort of appreciate that pressure, because it keeps me on top of my game every day. I know I need to wake up. I know I need to perform even before training sessions. Like when I grapple guys, when I spar guys, I'm like I'm a champion. You know, I need to show that there are reasons why I am a champion, and I do that. And yeah, it's been a big learning experience as well in different areas of my life. It's been amazing, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to remain champion and move on to bigger and better things.
Fantastic. Something caught my ear during, when you was talking about your championship fight just now, and as you said, it wasn't your best, but we've also seen it very, very recently. We've seen it very recently with Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards, where Leon Edwards wasn't actually fighting his best, but he found a way to beat the pound for pound king, number one. He found a way to beat him, right? And all
that's actually true. I never thought about it that way.
Exactly. And all that not performing well is out of the window for now, right? Because now he's the king. He's number one. You're number one. And that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, man, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
That's the energy that I want right there. That energy.
Thank you so much, brother. I love that, man. Thank you. Yeah, I love that. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. It's actually true.
The rest doesn't matter. Exactly. And the way, and that's the way you've got to look at it. And being a perfectionist yourself and being the type of fighter with elite mentality like you have is what makes you want to do better in your next outing. But really and truly, it's all about doing enough in a fight to achieve the goal that you set out to achieve, which you obviously accomplished. You achieved that goal. You brought the belt home. You made your family proud. You made yourself proud. You made your team proud. This is not just, and this is the thing with fighters as well. You don't just do it for yourself. It's for your gym. It's for your teammates. It's for your sparring partners. It's for
and it's going nowhere.
Going nowhere, baby. La la! We have the belt right here on the screen.
It's going nowhere.
It's going nowhere.
I swear to God, it's going nowhere, man.
The champ says it's going nowhere, and that's the attitude.
Nowhere.
That's the attitude, right?
Whatever it takes. 100%. But you know what? Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that, sir. Honestly, I really do.
No, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. And
there's a lesson in that as well. It's not how you start, it's how you finish in life as well. Like you just made the comparison with Leon Edwards as well. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
That's it. You're out there to fight for 25 minutes. Whether there's 1 second to go, 10 seconds to go, 1 minute to go, whether you knock the person out in the first round or you submitted them in the first minute of the first round, it does not matter. What matters is getting the job done, which you did. But said there was, you weren't happy with the way the fight went. There was a slight controversy around the stoppage of the win for the title. What's your take? I want to get your perspective and your take on that controversy.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said earlier, there was a lot of things going on. Not to make any excuses, but there were a lot of things going on in that training camp and like leading up to the fight. But you know what? I take responsibility for that myself. At the end of the day, I never set up my takedown at all. I rushed the game plan. The game plan was obviously to take him down and implement and use my wrestling and my grappling. And in the gym, everything was going according to plan. It's just under those lights, I sort of rushed the process. And I believe my opponent, he capitalized in a huge way on my mistakes, which is obviously what we do in there. And I was in a bad position. I do remember taking like heavy blows to the back of the head. I do remember the referee warning him about 3 or 4 times. And I do also remember the referee not wanting me to defend myself in that position. I was sort of in half guard. I had my underhook. I don't think that fight was in any way, shape, or form about to be finished. I feel like the referee Fadi Basson was constantly warning my opponent, stop hitting me on the head, stop hitting me on the head, and then he stopped it. And his hand signal was wrong. He shouldn't have waved it off. He should have called timeout. with his hand. But you know, when he called timeout, I knew the fight wasn't over because I heard what he was saying, and I could feel the strikes to the back of the head. I knew in my mind. People can say what they want about my face, or whatever. I knew the fight's gonna reset again. I actually remember getting up and looking at my coach, and I knew that we're gonna have to reset. And they took a point off, and you know, I knew I had to make something happen. Again, that last few minutes of the fight, I went for the takedown again. I got on top. He reversed me, and I reversed him again. So I believe when they reset us, it was 50-50 again. You know, it was equal.
Yeah.
You know, it was almost like a second round. You know, obviously because of the ref's decision.
Yeah.
And he might have won the first round, but I won the second round and I finished the fight. You know, he was unable to get up when I was on top. He was unable to continue fighting. You know, he was unable to get me off in, and he wasn't able to defend himself. So,
I wanted to ask you. This sport that we're in, that you're in. I'm just a fan. I just sit on my armchair and I watch you guys. I get entertained by you guys. I love what you guys do, but I'm not the one that's in there with you guys. I want to ask you, what's the toughest part of what you do as a living? You know, what's the toughest part of being an MMA fighter?
I think it's for me personally, it's the mindset. You know, you'll have those days where you don't want to get up or train. You know, your body's tired, especially in training camp. Your body's tired. You know, your body's worn out from the day before, but you got to somehow just keep going. You know, and I believe it's that, like, the mind, which plays tricks on you, you know, which can play tricks on you if you allow it to. And obviously when you train for a big fight, you want to make sure you push as much as possible, you do as much hours as possible. So for, you know, for me, it's the mental game. It's staying on track, staying consistent. And then the fight as well, you know, there's obviously lots of pressure on the day of the fight. I mean, it's not the best day. you just gotta remember who you are and why you're doing it. You know, yeah, I've had 10 professional fights now, and it hasn't been easy. You know, on the day of the fight. But you know what? Winning makes it so much worth it. You know, it makes all that psychological and physical stress worth it. And I'm willing to do anything to have that feeling of getting your hand raised, you know. And yeah, it's the best feeling ever. And yeah, I'll go through how to get there.
And winning, the wins and losses is what really makes a fighter, right? And it's not just what really makes you, but it's the lessons that you learn from those wins and losses, like, you know, like your title fight and some of the maybe losses that you have on your record as well. So what I wanted to ask you now, this is a two-part question, by the way.
Yes.
What I wanted to ask you is, what's what's your best or your favorite win? Because from what we just heard, you know, I want to know what your favorite win, your favorite MMA professional win is, and your hardest loss, and what you took from those two situations.
Well, I'll start with the more positive one. Okay. My biggest win is definitely my fight last year, July, EFC 87 against Dino Bagatine. I feel like everything went according to plan, you know, from my weight cut to my warm up at the back to walking out to mentally being fully there to executing my game plan, you know, really taking him down with proper timing, getting on top and finishing him, you know. I believe that fight showed like a real good version of me. And yeah, I mean, he's not a walkover, but I put him away pretty easily. And I believe that is what I'm capable of, you know. I truly believe that. And with my hardest loss, I would definitely say it was my third professional fight. I was coming off 7 amateur wins, undefeated, and my first 2 wins in EFC, both wins undefeated. And I fought Sibasisu Doku. He just fought for the title before he fought me. And I was like 20 years old, this young prospect. And no excuses why I had a massive weight cut for that fight. First round, I dominated. I think it was a 10-8 round even. 10-9, 10-8. And second round, I remember I couldn't feel my legs, and he put the beating on me. And the second and third round, I was, I wouldn't even say it was mentally. I say, I think it was physically. I just couldn't carry on. I don't know what happened. I learned a lot of lessons from that fight. But that was definitely my hardest loss. I mean, in 9 fights per se, like 7 amateur and 2 professional, and then suffering your first defeat after everyone's telling you, oh, you're the next champion, 3-0. And then, from there it was a bit of a downward spiral. So in hindsight now, that was definitely the hardest time and phase in my career. And you know what? I could couple another fight with that if I could.
Please.
My first title fight against Temba Garumbo, who's in the UFC now, and I wish him all the best. Man, that fight as well. No excuses. But I left my team back then 7 weeks before the fight. I had to readjust to a new team in Cape Town for 6 weeks, and mentally I just wasn't there, but props to him, he definitely showed up and he beat me. But I would definitely say those 2 losses were the hardest in my career by far.
Big up to Temba Gorimbo, by the way.
Definitely.
He's
Go
not part
Temba,
of the UFC
welterweight. He's the make waves there. For sure.
Big up Temba Gorimbo, man. Big up Temba. How important is it for you to set a good example for the up and coming fighters and for the youth out there today, the young people that watch your fights, young people that draw inspiration from you, that just because you lost don't mean you can't get to the top if you pick yourself up, dust yourself down? What's so important for you about setting that good example for the young ones?
I truly believe it's imperative, just like you said now, about showing the young up and coming guys that the chances are you're probably gonna face defeat, whether it's even in the cage or in life, and you have to have that mental fortitude and character to carry on and to take the lesson out of it and to allow it to shape you and mold you into your best version. You have to see the positive side of it and be, in a way, I know it's hard at the moment, but you have to be optimistic about it. And I do actually believe I am proof of that. I started out strong. I went on a losing streak. I came back. I lost again for a title fight. I came back again. I beat the former champion and a big name in South Africa. And then I became champion. I never gave up, and I'm never going to give up. That's reality. If it takes me another 10 years to be where I want to be in the UFC, I'm going to keep going. So it's just my journey. And I believe that many athletes up and coming need to have the same mindset.
I love what you just said just now, dropping the UFC in there, and that's gonna draw me into my next question right here. Hypothetical question. Yeah, this is a hypothetical. So Dana calls you out of the blue. He says, "Okay, you're fighting easy for your next UFC middleweight strap. All right? Are you ready? And how do you beat him?"
Fuck. He's not Adesanya.
You're ready. You want to get to the UFC. The man gives you a call and he says, "This is your next fight. You're ready. How do you defeat him? I mean, you've seen he's got a lot of tape on him. That's number one, right? We've been watching Easy, you know, doing his stuff in the UFC for a few years now, and you know, and he's a fighter that a lot of people admire, a lot of people study, and even some fighters might be plotting away on how do I put this guy away, and I'm sure everybody has a plan, you know, on their perspective on how to do it. And because you're in the same division, you're in the same profession, you're both professionals, you're both champions in your own right, albeit different promotions.
Thank you.
How do you defeat him?
Yeah, it's an honor to be like middleweight champion as well, you know, and know that he's like the highest competitor at that level. You know, so it's really inspiring. So thank you. With regards to fighting him, you know, I remember having a few conversations with my coach, and we feel like with a guy like that, you sort of have to cut him off straight from the beginning. You have to like bully him, push him against the fence, and hopefully take him down. But his takedown defense is like really amazing, you know. But I feel like guys that they sort of fight at his pace, you know. They allow him to build his rhythm, because he actually gets better as the fight goes on. You know, he gets better as the fight goes on. So I feel like, you know, I would try cut him off immediately and take him down and implement that top game where we did see he can sort of be exposed there against like a bigger, stronger guy, like when he fought Jan. Obviously, that was a division higher. But cut him off straight away, take him down and put him on his back, you know. Is that going to be easy? Not at all. I mean, guys have tried to take him down, and he's just like, I remember I've seen a few fights where his back's against the fence and he's just laughing at them, trying to take him down. So I think he's physically quite strong as well compared to what he looks like. But you know what? With this question being asked, I appreciate it. But you know, I remember being at Jackson Wink in 2015. I went there when I was 20 years old for a training camp, and the famous coach Greg Jackson, he said, you know, it's all good to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your skill set, but you also have to believe where you are at this stage of your career, you know, and you need to take it step by step. There's a lot of these guys who win a few fights in the UFC and they're like, I'm going to be UFC champion. And you know what, like, it's good to say that. I believe you should. I'll probably say it as well when I get there. But at the end of the day, you got to be real as well. You know, you need you need to be real as well. I mean, it can happen. You can manifest something in your head so much, and you go out there and you knock the guy out or you beat him. You know, but I'm just referencing what one of the top coaches told me. You need to be sort of realistic with where you're at, you know, and see the room for growth. You know, and keep chasing that.
Yes, I love what the coach, you know, your coach told you there, because that's a coach that likes to keep his fighters grounded, even though they want to give you that energy and make you believe you can walk on water. They also have to keep you in the real world and keep you grounded and say, look, this is where you are. This is how many steps it's going to take you to get to that place where easy is, and this is the work that is going to take to get you there, so you can accomplish that goal.
And also that it makes an athlete like myself work harder, you know, because you know there's sort of that gap to fill. Because let's be honest, like for example, the gap between EFC and UFC, like the top 10 guys in the UFC versus the top 10 guys in the EFC, there's a skill set gap there, you know. So if we're talking top 10 UFC and top 10 EFC, obviously. So there's obviously a skill set gap, which we have the opportunity. I believe we have the base. I believe I have the base to add on to, you know, to add those skills and those styles and movements onto that base I have, you know. And it's inspiring, you know, because you know you have work to do, instead of being like, I am the champion, I am the UFC champion, I will be champion. It's good. It's good, but you know what? Like, gotta be real as well, because those guys are at a high level. Like, I'm talking the top guys in the UFC, top 5, top 10 guys in the UFC.
Yeah. I mean, there's you look across the divisions in the UFC, and it's all stacked with killers, and same with your division. And this is what I said in their own respective rights, because you can, it's always good to pay homage to the people that are at the top of the game, the elite of the game in the UFC, but at the same time, that doesn't take anything from your accomplishments from where you are, because that stuff did not get handed to you. You had to fight, claw, blood, sweat, training, suffering.
That's true. Thank you, sir.
To get it.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear from someone as well, because it's true. We often don't see where we are right now. We're constantly looking forward, so we don't actually see, hey, but where I am now is where I prayed and I wanted to be so badly a few years ago.
Yeah.
We're constantly looking forward, which is, like you said earlier, the competitive nature inside of like a high performance fighter. But yeah, you're right. It's taken a lot to be here. And like I said earlier, it just makes it so much more sweeter.
Yes.
It tastes so much better. It tastes so much better.
And thank you very much for answering that question. You answered it the right way. You answered it as honest as you could, and you answered it the right way. And we thank you for that, because there's a lot of young people.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to say I'll take Israel down and submit him in the first round. Although part of me, I believe I could, but I'm not going to say that like, oh no, I could do that right now.
I wasn't trying to clickbait you neither, just so you know. You came
with a journey to get there
with the perfect answer. I wanted to get you to the next question. You guys do this, and I believe every fighter, whether amateur level, from young age all the way to the top, to the elite, where you're getting rubies and stuff on your belts, everybody is a prize fighter. You guys are prize fighters. First and foremost, you fight for prizes, right?
Yeah.
What's the best source of revenue for young fighters to focus on? Is it sponsors? Is it merch? Is it social media? What in your view? What's the best way for young fighters to get revenue from fighting and putting their bodies on the line?
You know what? I do believe that being a professional athlete, I believe there is a opportunity to approach certain companies to endorse your journey, to help you on the journey. So I definitely believe it's a good angle to tap into, like the sponsorships and stuff. It's not easy. You have to show them a lot. You have to give them and show them a lot, often for a little in the beginning. And also it's easy to lose like sight of the main thing when you're constantly focusing on sponsors. I've actually been there before in that space where, you sort of make sponsorships more important than training. You want to meet sponsors, you miss a session. You got to keep the main thing the main thing. You have to train, you have to improve your skill set and your mind, and you'll see the sponsors will come. And then obviously with regards to like the fights and stuff, you gotta put on a good performance, because then the promotion will obviously see value in you, and then obviously compensate you in that manner. And then the two sort of works together, the sponsorship and the promotion, they sort of feed off each other. And as a result, you can be in a good position if you play your cards right. But yeah, at the end of the day, I believe the main focus should be training and improving every single day, and just making sure you have someone as well to help you in terms of the business and stuff, because it gets a bit difficult close to a fight to run everything by yourself, because obviously your focus is purely on the training, on the weight cut, and on the fight. But yeah, in terms of sponsorships and stuff, I believe you just have to show the company and the business, how much value you can add to them instead of just asking for a certain amount of money or just expecting. I feel like a lot of athletes, probably like myself as well, we sort of have this expectation that they have to pay us, but actually they don't. We're doing a crazy sport, and any help from them is it benefits us on the way to the main goal. When we get to UFC, we don't actually need them because we can't even promote them. You can't even promote these sponsors like on your clothing in the UFC. So until you get there, sort of take what you get blessed with. Obviously, don't be a doormat for people to walk over you, but on this journey to the UFC, which I'm sure a lot of if not almost all athletes goal is to sort of just work with what you get.
Fantastic. Social media. I want to bring you to social media. I'm not sure, what your take is, or even if you're aware of MMA Twitter or Twitter fans on. I mean, MMA fans on Twitter. We
Yes.
call it MMA Twitter, right? And there's there's a lot of hate and love and maybe some warped perception and warped takes on there. But how do you deal with haters online? Some might, if like you just said about your title fight, so some people will come out and say, oh yeah, you don't deserve to be the champion, you don't this, you don't that, which we spoke earlier on. None of that really matters. You did what you had to do to get your hands on that title, on that gold, on that scrap. You did what you had to do, right? So none of that matters. But how do you deal with that hate? How do you deal with online trolls that that want to come through? Because for me, if you're not being hated, you're not doing something right. So you gotta be doing something right for somebody to be hating on you. So please tell me how you deal with that.
Yeah, it's tough, because you like close to a fight, you log onto social media and you're like, oh man, how can he say this? Who the hell is this? Like, oh, you say I'm gonna lose. I'm like, flip, man, this guy's like killing me. Or after a fight, like you just said, now you win and you think, oh, it's perfect, and then you still get hate for that, or you lose, it's even worse. Like, I literally remember in the early days of my career, like that first loss I spoke about against Persue. So I remember going on my phone that evening. I'm like, flip, man, these guys were just like killing me on there. And obviously, I was only 20 years old there, and my thought process, obviously, it was quite immature at that age, and I took it very personally. But you know what? Now I'm in a stage where I don't really like it. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like it. Like, I don't like seeing it. I try to stay away from it close to a fight. But I don't like seeing it. But if you look at it for what it is, it's actually just individuals like they're just talking to be relevant. They're just talking to get to you. Whether it's your opponent's teammates or just some random fans. They're just talking to get to you. If it's negative, if it's positive, different story. But if it's negative, which is most of the case, you got to see it for what it is. It's not actually real. It's bullshit. I mean, it's not actually real. At the end of the day, you get in a cage with one person. There's three of you in there. You, him, and the referee, and all the other noise. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And afterwards, it doesn't really matter either because you were the one who got in there. Most of the time, these keyboard warriors, they have a big mouth over social media.
I like the name you gave them. I like the name you gave them.
Yeah, they have a big mouth over social media, but they probably never trained a day in their life, or fought. So yeah, just block out all the noise, and then on the other side, you get you have the situation when your opponents are talking crap, and to be honest, I don't like that either. Like I remember before I fought Dino. I remember like a week before, EFC made a post saying, from him, like quoting him saying, oh, he's gonna eat leather and elbows. And it was like 1 week after my fight, I was driving to my session and I was like cutting weight and stuff. I was like, fuck this guy, man. Like, fuck, I swear to God, I lost my shit in the car alone.
Oh my God.
Like I was alone in the car and I was like, fuck this guy. And I called my coach and he's like, calm down, forget about it. You know, it doesn't matter what he says. You're still going to take him down. And look, it happened, you know. So, like, sometimes you can have those moments where it gets to us. But we got to see it for what it is, you know. It's actually, it's not real, you know. What's real is when you under those lights, exchanging leather and trying to, like, knock someone out, you know, choke them out. That's real. The other stuff is not real, you know.
No, absolutely not. And it's the best way to look at it. Absolutely the best way to look at it. I want to talk about your promotion, the EFC. The EFC is on fire right now, producing hot talents, you know, towards Bellator for the UFC. We have, you know, the likes of Temba, like you just said. We have the like of Cameron Simon that's been on our show. Shout out to Cameron. He's been on our show.
Shout out to him. Well done, man. So young.
Just before he flew out to Vegas to go and do the Contender Series, he stopped by our show and he told us what he was going to do, and he went out there and got it done. So shout out to Cameron.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's so impressive, man. It's amazing that these guys, these EFC, like former EFC champions, are you know, they setting the standard for us over there, and they paving the way, which myself as a competitor with the UFC goal in mind, you know, it's amazing to see, and well done to them.
Yeah. This is something that, you know, that must inspire a lot of you guys a lot. And I want to ask you, what do you attribute to their success, especially in the African MMA scene, Africa as a whole, and where MMA is going in Africa? What do you put to their success? Why are they so successful in the MMA section right now?
You know what? Whenever I have conversations with like the Howarth brothers, I'm always like I'm impressed at their mindset. You know, they have a very strong mind. You know, and whenever things like, because we're into Africa, you know, like it's a third world country, and whenever the chips were down, they still came back. You know, they kept fighting. Like with COVID, a lot of people thought they're not going to come back, but they came back. You know, from where they started, they sort of they never had the most consistent journey. They have like ups and downs. You know, they were probably in a better position back then, like 10 years ago, than they are now. But you know what impresses me the most in terms of being an athlete for them is the fact that they kept going. You know, and a lot of people have a lot to say. But at the end of the day, it's the only promotion here who's offering professional athletes the opportunity and the platform to perform, you know, and to make a living, and to live their dream, you know. So I attribute the hard work and the like never give up attitude which they had, and it's impressive.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be so nice to have a lot more of you guys, you know, from South Africa. South Africa is taking over the UFC right now. You know,
yeah, we are, man. Africa
we've got there. We've got Cameron there. We've got Dricos there. You know, the likes of yourself is not looking, you know, to make, you know, to start making a run and try to get to that UFC, because you mentioned the earlier on. Even if it takes 10 years, even if it takes one day, it looks to me that you have the ambition to make it to the UFC one day.
Thank you, sir. Really, man. You know what? It's a childhood dream, and I'm gonna make sure I fulfill it. But yeah, you're right. Like the guys are. It's amazing. I mean, there's been so many EFC champions going straight to the UFC. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, you should look at other promotions to fight for." And you know what? I'm gonna stick it out here. You know, I'm gonna defend my belt in spectacular fashion.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'll get the welterweight belt too, which
ambitions. I like it.
Yeah, which I actually spoke to Graham about. Obviously, I'm not looking past my opponent now. I'm focused on this fight only. But you know, it's a goal of mine. You know, and I believe EFC is a good promotion. The fact that they fed so many guys to UFC obviously says a lot, you know. So yeah, I'm grateful to be part of the organization.
Absolutely. The next question I wanted to ask you, and we're just going to ask you 2 more questions on the fight thing. Then I wanted to, you know, ask you to help us break down some of the fights that we got coming up on UFC 279. But before we get there, I've got a couple more questions to ask you. If you wasn't a pro fighter today, if you wasn't an MMA fighter, what would your ideal profession be? What would you be doing today? What's your other dream job if you wasn't a fighter? If you say you didn't so never back down, and
yes, it's so funny you say that, because that's been on my head a lot. Like these last few months, I'm like, flip.
Wow.
Well, what would I actually be doing? You know. Well, you know what? Growing up, actually, my dream was, before I even thought about this stuff, my dream was to be a pilot. I was like, okay. I still remember telling my parents, like, I want to be a pilot, you know, and my dad told me, no, it's a lot of hard work, you know, you have to be really good at maths and stuff. And I was like, flip, I really have to pull up my socks if I want to be a pilot. But you know what? I believe with my mindset and my hard work, I could have achieved it, you know. But obviously, my journey took a different path. But yeah, that was my dream growing up. Honestly, it was.
Being a pilot, I mean, especially, you know, your pops say you have to be really good at maths, and look at you now. You're the EFC champion, and it takes a lot of calculation to do what you do, measuring distance, you know, angles, all this other stuff.
So true.
You know, that you have to do, cutting the right amount of weight, eating the right amount of food. Everything is calculation.
Maths.
It's maths.
Wow, I meant to that, man. That's so true. I never thought about that, actually.
You're good at maths. Go and tell your dad you're good at maths.
I turned out being pretty good. Yeah, you're right. No, you're 100% right. Even training, you have to calculate how much sessions you're gonna have for the day, making sure you still have enough recovery.
How much tax you have to pay. It's all maths.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, it's turned out pretty interesting.
Okay. The very last question that I wanted to ask you, you know, regarding yourself and you know, your career. If you was to pick anyone, all right, let me rephrase this. Is there anybody, say, in the UFC, and I know you mentioned about skill level earlier on, but is there anybody in there that's on, you know, that's in that promotion right now that you think, you know what, skill for skill, fight for fight, on a good day, on my best day, I could catch you and put you away?
Yeah, 100%. You mean like a top, a ranked guy or unranked?
Anybody on the promotion, whoever's on the promotion. Give us someone. Yeah, middleweight. Yeah,
middleweight. I believe like a guy comes to mind, Darren Till. You know, I believe he can be
Darren
taken
Till.
down.
Okay.
I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, why not? I believe on my best day, I can take him. I can take him down against the fence and smash him on the ground. You know, I believe that.
You believe you can do that? Fantastic.
I believe it.
That's a brilliant.
On my best day, 100%. Calculate my distance properly and take him down. Yeah.
I love it.
100%. Why not?
I love it. Before we go, I think I owe it to people, even though it pains me so much to say it, but I owe it to people to let them know you're a Manchester United fan. And my team just took a beating from your
Red Devils, baby.
Over
Cristiano Ronaldo.
You know, but because we're good is why I'm taking this L. Yeah, I'm taking this L.
Yeah.
But, you know, you must be very, very proud of your team, you know, for the display that they put over this weekend against Arsenal and beating Liverpool as well in that 4-win run.
Yeah, no, it's impressive, you know, and I feel like football is also a tough sport, you know. You have to keep up that pace for 90 minutes. And obviously it's a team sport, but yeah, it's a tough sport as well, and I'm proud of Man United. I don't watch soccer that much, but I've been supporting them since a young age. I remember growing up, my brother was a Liverpool supporter, and I was a Manchester United supporter, and we used
What
to
was
have
that
these
like in
fights.
your house? This
It was
is
crazy.
rivalry.
It was crazy. Every time they played against each other, we fought.
Oh God.
Yeah, and we used to bet on it as well, on who would
Oh man,
win.
that's insane.
Yeah,
So
so that's interesting. But
what?
Arsenal's good as well.
Yep. Thank you for making
Yeah,
me
I think
feel
it's
good.
time to move on. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
A
you're
loyal
killing me,
fan
Luke,
never moves
man.
on.
You're killing me,
A
champ.
loyal
You are
fan
killing me.
never moves on.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask you, I mean, in terms of like your feelings for Manchester United and where they are now, where would you like come end of the season? Where would you like to see Manchester United be? Would you like to, in Champions League spot, or do you think it's too early in the process that they're in trying to rebuild the team? Where would
No,
you what would be acceptable for you come end of the season for Manchester United?
Champions League for sure. That's what they need to achieve. Like you said now, redeem themselves, rebuild themselves. And get on top. I think at a sport like that, you gotta make the days count, and you have to make the years count as well. And with Ronaldo, I think it's all possible.
You've been a fantastic sport. You've been a fantastic
Thank
guest.
you.
You've been so good with with the question, and you didn't swerve out of any question or dodge any question, and you answered everything the right way. We are so honored to have you on the show.
Thank
You
you.
even brought
I'm
the
so honored
belt.
to be part of it.
You even
I
brought the
really
belt for
appreciate
us.
Sorry.
I said you even brought the belt for us, which
Yeah,
is
of course. It's
which
going
is the
nowhere.
first time on the show, and we
Yeah.
really
And,
appreciate that,
and
man.
no, it's a pleasure, and it's my honor to be part of the show. And thank you so much for the opportunity and the exposure I'm going to get from.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much for being here. Is there people that you want to thank, sponsors, your coaches, your gym merch, and what do you have coming up? Please, you have the floor. Tell us.
Yeah, I would like to thank my main sponsor, World Sports Betting, for supporting my journey. And then my MMA coach, Attila Bana, and my lady who I live with, my fiance Chelsea. Yeah, and yeah, just a fight week show as well for having me. I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, so I'm defending my title in December against the same guy. We're having a rematch December 3rd, EFC 100. So I'm really grateful to be part of this milestone event which EFC has. I want to thank EFC for the opportunity to be part of their promotion. It's nice to be champion and represent their promotion. And I want to thank my main sponsor, World Sports Betting, for making this journey possible. My fiance, who I live with, who deals with me every day. my coach, Attila Bana, who makes everything happen in the gym and outside the gym. And then last but definitely not least, I want to thank the Fight Week show for having me. You guys
Thank you
are
very much.
legends, and I really appreciate it, man. And obviously, all glory to God as well for putting me in this position.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much for coming through to us, and hopefully, maybe after your fight in the EFC 100, we can bring you back on the show, and
Please, and I'll still have this with me
and
so
you
we
still
can.
have that to come back to the
Yeah,
show to us, and
I
yeah,
promise. Mark my words, I promise.
thank you very much. Yeah, we definitely
Thank
going to
you.
be looking forward to that, man. We're going to be supporting
Thank
you.
you.
We're going to be rooting for
Wow.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're part of the Fight Week Show family right now, and
Wow. Thank you.
every
I'm
bit of
honored.
success that you have, we're gonna be gunning for you. We're gonna
Thank
be
you so
rooting for
much.
you.
It's
We're
so
gonna be
amazing
pushing
to
you.
have support all the way over there.
Yeah, man. We, it's what
Thank
we
you.
want to do here in England, and just shine the light on athletes like you. You have a voice, and we have a platform for people to hear what you have to
Thank
say,
you so much.
and what you
It's
have to say is so
honestly,
important to up and coming fighters and young people.
it's honestly so humbling. I truly value that a lot. Thank you. You guys, obviously, it's inspiring as well to be on the show where I know there's been like UFC athletes on here, and that's my goal within the next year or so. And it's set that level, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And until the next time, people, you've heard from Luke
And still,
Michael, and he's going to be coming back as I'm still,
yes.
after the EFC 100. And until then,
Thank you so
hasta la
much.
vista, people. Salute.
Salute.
Yo, guys, this is Adrian Yanez telling you to use those handles. Hit, click, like, and subscribe. Fuck yeah, dudes. If y'all don't do it, man, fucking catch the hands, bro.